acoustic guitar, and I wanted to show you a little bit something about stringing technique. Now, I've rigged up a little mirror here, and you can see the underside of the bridge, okay? So here's our bridge. That white thing is the saddle. Those little round pegs are the, oh God, I keep getting the name wrong. They're end pins. They're not end pins, they're bridge pins. Pins. So many pins. So we have our bridge pins there. Now, usually what happens, what I find with acoustic guitars when they come in, is the bridge pins have just been jammed in with a big gorilla thumb, and they're impossible to get out. That doesn't need to be the case. I think what happens sometimes is the holes are a little bit too small for the pin, and the pin is just jammed in because everyone thinks you gotta jam it in. That's what keeps the string in. That's not really the full story. What keeps the string in is the ball end contacting the bridge plate. Okay, so see those colored things? You've got silver, purple, green, black, red, and brass. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, those are the ball ends of the strings, and they are contacting that brownish, that darker surface. That is the bridge plate. So when they are in contact with the bridge plate, they can't come up out of the body anymore. Okay, so the bridge pins are there to make sure that the string doesn't move up out of the body, and it's not the friction inside there that's keeping the string from moving. It really is the ball end being in contact with the bridge plate. So you don't have to jam your bridge pins in as tight as they'll possibly go. I mean, as long as they're not insanely loose and come out, they probably don't do what you think they do. They're just there to make sure that scenario there is happening. Now, if you notice, the silver, the purple, and the green are in contact with the plate. The purple's not as much as I'd like it to be, but for demonstration purposes, hey. Now, the black, the red, and the brass, those are so obviously not in contact with the bridge plate. So why have I left them like that? Well, what you do when you're stringing an acoustic guitar, what you should be doing is put all the strings in, and as you're doing it, don't tighten them up just yet. Make sure they're all 6 of them in there, and then what you do is you get inside, you get your hand in there, and I can't really show you necessarily, but you get your fingers in there, and you feel underneath the pegs, you feel underneath the bridge pins, and then you can feel the ball end touching the bridge plate, and that's when you know that it's good to go. And then when you string it up, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of movement, but if we look again at here, once we string them up, bring the strings to tension, there's not going to be a whole lot of movement with the silver, the purple, and the green there. There is going to be movement with the black, the red, and the brass. So while we're stringing it up in the first stages, you just make sure that those ball ends are in contact with the bridge plate, and that will minimize movement once you bring the strings up to tension, and it will minimize the need for you to keep shoving this back down in a big desperate, too much, whatever. You won't have to shove it down in a big desperate need to think that friction is doing something when it's not really the friction, it's this other stuff going on in here. Okay, so that's an R&R matinee. Okay, thank you. Okay, I love you so much. Okay, stop yelling at me. Now, in the previous little segment there, I couldn't really get my hands, I was holding the camera and all that, but I just wanted to demonstrate. Let's pretend that there are no strings on this guitar, just for a moment, and there's the pin come out. I've got my string, okay, and then I'd be sticking it in, and then I put in my bridge pin, okay, so that's fine, it doesn't need to be crazy tight, and then I get my hand underneath there, and I'm feeling for that ball end being in contact with the bridge plate, and once I feel that, what I'm doing is I'm sort of pressing upward a little bit on that, while also pushing the pin downward, and that should be it. Now once I bring the string to tension, the pin might pop up a little bit as the string settles or as it compresses the wood, that's fine, but it's not going to pop up a lot. when it pops up a lot, you're probably thinking, oh my God, something's terribly wrong. Yeah, you haven't got the ball end in contact with the bridge plate. So you do that, okay? And then you do it 5 more times. But the key thing to remember here is to leave the hole open so that you can do that, all that stuff first. And then move on to bringing the strings up to tension. And your restringing session will be a happy, healthy one. Once you're done, stretch the strings to make sure that's good, and you should be a lot better to go. If you found that you're constantly babysitting what's happening down here, it's because you weren't doing the thing underneath, okay? So it'll feel weird at first, you know, it's disorienting, you can't see, you gotta use tactile feedback from your fingers to your brain. You have to see with your fingers, like a dog sees with its nose. Yeah, something like that. So I hope you found this informative.